Next up on the Zapata Brand Boxing Podcast, this 16-year-old is a 3-time national champion. She is currently the #1 ranked female at 165 pounds in the entire country. And this week, she looks to add the Silver Gloves Championship to her resume. The Zapata Brand Boxing Podcast welcomes Pennsylvania's own Olivia Ford.
Well, guys, welcome to the Zapata Brand Boxing Podcast. And I told you guys I'd have a special guest today, and I do. 2, in fact. 1 fighter, 1 trainer. To the left there on your screen is Olivia Ford. Olivia Ford is the #1 ranked 165-pound youth champion, and she comes right here from Lake Ariel, Pennsylvania. Her trainer to the side of her, Sean McFadden. That is her first fight. That is his first fighter, and it happens to be a girl. Sean, Olivia, how are you?
Good.
Welcome to the podcast. George. Good. Hey, real quick, how did Olivia? You were 16 years old. How did you get involved in boxing?
It's kind of funny. Like, my little sister, she actually went up a couple years ago, and she said the kids there, they were doing boxing, and she was gonna try it. And I kind of just heard about it like secondhand, and I said, "Well, that sounds pretty cool. I want to try that too," you know. And ever since I started, I just kind of fell in love with it and never stopped.
Well, were you? Did you? When it was your little sister who started first, and then you decided to take over?
Well, we both started at the same time, but we heard about it, and then I heard from her that she was gonna try it, and I went with her.
Okay. And what was your first initial reaction towards it?
I don't know. It was like I tried other sports before, you know, and just like I don't know, boxing just kind of clicked right away. I don't know how to explain it. It's just different.
It would probably be a little bit different being that in high school, well, junior high at the time, you were probably the only girl who would do that, as opposed to whether it's field hockey, basketball, soccer. This is a little different sport.
Yeah.
Did you get any pushback from any other of your friends?
A couple of them were like a little judgy at first. I had a couple friends in cheer and stuff, and obviously boxing is not cheerleading.
Oh.
So got a little bit of
Okay.
Yeah.
So
mixed opinions from people.
When that happened, did it discourage you at all?
No. Not
Okay.
at all.
Okay. So you guys? So actually, it wasn't bad then. That you know, they were probably a little more nervous that you were starting to fight. Would you not think?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. So now at this point, let's see, how long you been boxing now? Because you're 17, well, 16. How long you been boxing?
Almost 3 years with coach.
Okay. So at the time
I started.
What?
I just turned 14. Yeah.
Okay. So at that point, when did you decide that this was the thing you were going to do? You said, I want to fight. I want to actually fight, not just train, but actually fight.
I don't know. Like, since I started, I kind of had in my head that I didn't want, like, I wanted to do something with it, you know. I never really thought that I'd like be as far as I am already or anything. Like, I wasn't really sure what would happen, but I knew I wanted to fight.
Well, did you want to fight right away, or was it something that you thought maybe I should train first?
Well, yeah, I didn't want to just get right in there. I knew, like, I understood, you know, to train before you can fight. You can prepare a lot of things before you can get in the ring.
Now, when did you first meet with Sean?
Was it like May? Yeah. Of 2021? It was like right after I turned 14.
Mm-hmm. And what did where was it? Like, what happened? Did you say, hey, he's someone that I'd want me to be my coach, or what was the situation there?
Well, we kind of just started showing up on our own, and like when we I don't know, like how to like when we I don't know, when the coaches told us what to do, we always showed up, we always listened, we did what
Right.
we were asked, I don't know, like I don't.
So was there initial? So was initial?
And then, yeah,
Did
we
you know?
just trained.
Did you know Shawn prior to this, or Shawn? Did you know her prior to this?
I'd seen her. I'd seen her training a little bit here and there with a coach, Coach Priest, and he had a bunch of kids, and he was just helping them out, and so I knew she was around. I knew she was around, but I didn't formally get introduced to them right away. They used to come the day, and we would come early evening, and then right after then COVID hit, and then right after the gym started opening up again. The girls started coming in the evening with the rest of us, and that's how I met them.
Okay, and it was just her and her sister at the time. You started training them. And her sister is how old? How old's her sister? Just so for context.
She was 8 when she started with me, and
She's
then
11 now.
and she's 11 now.
Okay. Now, Olivia, you then all of a sudden decide you wanted to fight. You turn to Shawn and say, "I want to fight. I want an first amateur fight." Okay. Could you give me the mindset of a 16-year-old? Well, at the time, you're now 14, a 14-year-old girl fighting. Did you ever think the second you stepped into the ring that you were going to be the number 1 ranked female fighter at the youth division?
What? I didn't really have a lot of confidence in myself at the beginning. He was telling me from like day one what we'd be doing. I guess I never really like started to believe it until we started really picking up our training and we actually started doing good and getting to all these national tournaments, and even before the national tournaments, just starting to pick up fights, doing.
I knew this week, just the way she trained, her dedication, the way she. I knew from the first week that I was helping her because of her dedication, and the way she looked at herself, the way she carried herself. Coaches, even then I wasn't a coach, but we always look for the things that can't be taught. Mm-hmm. And she had heart, will, and dedication.
Right. And that's really important. And that's something that, it's something I've noticed in your fights. And let's get into your fighting career here, Olivia. First fight comes down to pipe. You're there. It's a one-off. They're one-night shows. They're fight nights. What is your mental state as you walk into the ring there for your first fight?
Well, it was kind of funny because like this specific girl, I had sparred her before and stuff, and I knew her. I knew how she fought, so I wasn't really like, I don't know, as nervous as you would normally be. It was a home show, everything. So I was pretty like confident that I knew enough to be able to get in there with her and like handle myself,
Mm-hmm. Well, in that first fight, did you win that first fight?
We didn't get the decision.
Okay. All right.
Well, I rematched with her for my second fight, and we went down to Reading and fought in the Reverb, and I won that one.
Okay. And then it was kind of off to the races at that point. You went into you ran off 9 quick, and now when is your first national title? What year was that?
Just last year in summer of 2023, we went to Toledo for the women's national championships.
Mm-hmm. That was your first one. Now, after you win that one, you rally off a couple more. Then you go to the big tournament. That was the one where you're fighting now the ranked. You're now fighting for rankings, going at 165. I did see the video of the first fight, which was your knockout. You stopped the girl in the first round, I believe the first or second round, but it was over rather quickly. You fought their next girl who was undefeated, Okay. What now at this point, this is a big stage. What do you think as a 16-year-old? What's going through your mind as a 16-year-old at this point? Because you win this fight, you're now the number one girl in the nation.
Yeah, it was definitely there was a lot of like stress and pressure going into that because we also
Yeah.
only had like one fight because there were only two of us in the division, so that was it. That was for the title,
Right.
and I heard social media, and it was a little bit, I guess, a little deceiving. She looked very intimidating, a lot more so than in person, and yeah, I
Right.
was really nervous.
Well, I mean, the thing is, social media doesn't punch back. When you get in the ring, you do have to fight. So you gave you the
Right.
opportunity. So, Sean, let me turn to you for a second as a
Okay.
coach. Um, Now you get her at a young age. You train with her.
Hmm.
You see something that, uh, to be quite honest with you, you don't see in certain guys.
Right.
A
No, you're
heart,
right.
work ethic, showing up. You told me a story about her showing up when half the people didn't show up there, and she was there every day. Uh,
Yes.
how 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 different is it to train someone who? Let's be honest, you can't like crack her upside the head and be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" You kind of got to handle her a little
Right.
different
Right.
than most guys. How is it as a coach to handle
You,
someone like that?
you know what? It's never been a problem. I've helped young men, and that sometimes they're very opinionated. If I were to tell them to do it, well, let's do it this way. This is the way that I've learned that through my experience, and they would say, well, why don't we do it this way? And I said, well, that's okay, but this is the way I like to do it. She's never done any of that.
Mhm.
Um, if I told her to do something, she would never question. She would never ask me 3 or 4 questions on. Well, she'd ask questions if she didn't, but she would never. She would just do it. She would just put the work in constantly, constantly. If I told her to do cartwheels singing "Kumbaya" backwards, she would do it.
Mhm.
And to be there every single day. We train 7 days a week. We do something. We have because there's so much to do in boxing. I wouldn't let her fight for the first year I was training her. I said, listen,
Okay.
we're going to train a year, okay, and then we'll start fighting. Her first fight was a regional championship in Golden Gloves. Just out of that was number one fight out the gate.
Yeah.
It was crazy, and um, and it just and then like off to the races, like you said. After that,
Well, it's hard. It's hard to get fights, let alone
yes,
14-year-old girls, female. So you do
right,
know that you're gonna fight. Number one, you're gonna fight a lot of the same girls, and then you're gonna
hmm,
have to travel. With that being said,
yeah,
you, Sean, have put together fundraisers, GoFundMe's. I'm sure you're not taking a dime for training expenses. Um, you do this out of the love of the game and wanting to help young athletes. It's one of the reasons why I had you here on the podcast because, like I've
yeah,
always said, I don't have people on my podcast I wouldn't have a cup of coffee here at the shop with. You do this out of the kindness of your heart.
right,
You have yourself a great athlete here who now is ranked number one. Think about this. Your first person that you've trained, legitimately taken from ground zero up, is now the number one fighter in the nation, which goes to show you the kind of trainer that you are. Now, would you like to give out quickly your GoFundMe page and the social media that people can help you on this quest?
sure. We have our GoFundMe page is on our Facebook page. It's a throw. We call it flowing and throwing too. It's a little motto we came up with, flowing and throwing, out in Louisiana, and we just kind of stuck with it. And So that's there, and then we have a Cash App um, for which I have links on all of our social media
Mhm.
for people if you want to donate. And we're in the process right now as well of the gym here that we built. We built this gym from scratch. We built a ring. The ring is handmade. Everything we've done here, we built together, and we're trying to a nonprofit status because so people have given to us so we could travel, so she can continue on this journey, and we want to be able to give as well the with the nonprofit or get a little bit of a tax break for helping us.
Right, right. Well, let's get now to the main event. The main event will be in 1 week. You'll be stepping into the ring in Missouri. This is now this will probably be your fourth or fifth different state to travel, but fighting for the Silver Gloves National Championship, sponsored by Ringside. Do you know who your opponent's bracket, the people in your bracket? Do you know that yet?
So we looked at the roster and we found a couple girls that were 165. It just didn't say their age range, but the girl that we just fought in Louisiana is also signed up, so we'll probably have to rematch her. It's like, I don't know. It's a lot because it's my first year in Silver Gloves, but it's also the last year I could do it because I'm 16. So it's kind of like all or nothing with this. It's like my only chance.
Well, this is, I mean, let's put it this to you this way. You've gotten this far. You have you've been very
Yeah.
successful at a young age. You're in a position now, you have to sometimes dare to be great. And at this point in your life, this is the chance for you to step out there and do something that very, very few, number one, women do, number two, 16-year-olds do. This is a very, very, very promising career. But what I will always suggest to you is you have to follow the path that you want to go. And I believe by the hard work that I see, I've talked to Sean privately. We talk privately. And it is very hard to find people who put the work in that you do. You've put enough of your work in. This time is the time for you to shine for Lake Ariel, Pennsylvania. And for everyone here that supported you along the way, they want to push you there to get that way. So please, guys, if you can, once again, give out your social media.
Pages on both of our Facebook page, Instagram page, Flowing and Throwing too. There's plenty of links right on our news feed. You can find it easy. We appreciate it very much. And these trips, she works so hard. These trips aren't cheap. They're anywhere from $2,500 to $4,000 a trip. Depending. Sometimes they just go 7 days, but we have to be there. It's mandatory check-in, and we have to spend the whole 7 days, even if she only fights one time. So, so it's sometimes it's costly, but it's worth it. And she works too hard for us not to go. George, I've never met a kid that works so hard, and just deserves it like this. And we see how many hundreds of kids, and I consider like I won the lottery. Coaches wait their whole life to get a kid like Olivia, and she did my first fight. I'm blessed.
Right. And so, Olivia, I'm going to go to you first here before I go. Olivia, I have two questions. It's a two-part question. Number one, what would you say to other females coming up that you said it yourself, you were a little intimidated, you were a little just not you were a little bit shy to get into the ring. What would you say to girls that want to follow in your footsteps and do what Olivia Ford has done in her short career?
I don't know. I'd say there's nothing you really can't do as long as you put the work in, and you really want to do it. Like it doesn't really matter what kind of situation you're in or how shy or timid you are or whatever, because I really had no confidence when I started. I was like, I never thought I'd be here, but I put the work in, and look where we are so far. And we're just starting. So
It's a hell of a story, I can tell you that. And my second part of the question would be this: and when you get back, I want to have you back on because I want to tell your story here before, and I know because I know you were training. I didn't want to disrupt too much, but I wanted to get you on before the fight. Could you tell me briefly what someone like Sean means to you and what he's done to you for your career?
Well, helps me in a lot of ways, you know. Like, he used to mentor me, and I listen to anything he says, you know. Like, I feel like to have a good coach, like a fighter-coach relationship, you have to trust them basically with your life. You know, it's up to them. You gotta listen to everything they say, and you know, just hope it works, you know. And I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to put into words.
Sean, what I want to ask you is this, as a wrap up. What do you say to kids now who are looking to get into boxing, but they don't have the right path? What would you say to them? Because we know your story. I know your background. You know my background. What would you say was the key to this whole thing that got Olivia to where she is now?
Oh boy. Go to the gym. You know, follow your heart, follow your dreams. Try to find somebody. It's a very rough and tough sport. Everybody, a lot of bad eggs, a lot of bad people, but two of us here, like Leo and myself, we're here for the right reasons. And you know what? When I look at her, I want to be the coach that I never had. I want to be the person that I was looking for and I couldn't find. So I take all the good that I've seen, I take all the bad that I've seen, and I kind of like, you know, that's how I coach. I just try to, and to say to other kids is, oh my goodness, sometimes kids that grow up with some trauma in their life, that's why they're attracted to the sport of boxing. We've already dealt with so much pain and suffering, and it's a way for us to vent it. And that's why we have that saying of boxing saves lives. And because a lot of us from the cities and stuff like that grew up in trouble areas, we didn't find boxing. We've had, you know, friends that didn't make it, and that's why I'm thankful for it every day. And that's what I would tell kids to get out there and do it, because it gives us an avenue to vent our frustration and to help. It's therapy for me. And then even coaching now, I got to tell you something. This is probably one of the most important things. So I've had 40 fights. Coaching, helping is healing my inner monster that I've tried to deal with now for 3 decades. And she helps to heal the monster. Me helping her. And it's good.
Well, I can tell you, Sean, you've done a tremendous job here. This young lady going from not having a fight to being the number one ranked 165-pound youth champion, number one ranked youth in the entire nation, is something to be proud of for both of you.
Yeah.
Now, going off there, silver gloves presented by Ringside Products. Next week to Missouri, Olivia Ford, 8-2, number one ranked 165-pound youth champion, goes to get that championship. Add that to her resume, silver gloves, one more time. Then she'll be the number one ranked girl in the nation once again for the year of 2024. Olivia, Sean, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. And if you guys need anything, again, I'm going to put them in the link for the Cash App and the GoFundMe page. It's very important to get her to keep going. Have her live her dream. You're living your dream, and you would like, I'm sure, other girls to live their dream as well. Thanks for coming on to the show.
Thank you for having
George.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching the Zapata Brand podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast and listen where all podcasts are available.